if you come and you sit at the table and the first thing you're telling me about is your ingrown toenail or your great aunt that just died and your neck is hurting, I may not want you at this table. Everybody had a lot of people that's died and everybody's felt pain and that's what comes with being number one. But we want to win. Myself and everybody else that's sitting at this table, I owe them for whoever to sit right here and make sure we win.
So, what are you drinking right now? Is that sparkling water or is it something else?
No, I wish, but it's actually the finest of my favorite cognac is Villon.
Oh, nice. That bottle is, did you design it? Cheers.
No, not at all. No. It's a beautiful bottle, but I didn't design it. I wish I did.
Yeah, it looks badass for sure. So that's your brand, right?
No, it's just most definitely one of the ones that's in the family that I just enjoy, so I rep it.
Oh, okay, right on. All right, we'll link it in the show notes then. We'll definitely make sure
please do
that shows up in there. So I read both of your books, and I take it. If you take anything from your books, it's that lemon pepper wings are your favorite, right? Is that what I'm supposed to take from the?
Without a doubt.
Because you rep those all the time. I know that on Breakfast Club, you actually said your top revenue generator wasn't music, which was kind of a surprise because, of course, people know you for music and rap. But I assume if it's not music, it's got to be what? Just booze and wings?
No, we doing a lot of different things. And I just had my buddy, Trop, actually print up. I'm currently in 19 different partnerships. 19. And so to me, that's what's cool about, how I move and what I do. And that's what the book is really for, how to stay ahead, how to not be drained, how to not be tired, how to not have the people, your partners calling you for things, but you really be the one that's on top of them. And that's what it's really about. And I remember one of my partners, when we first got in business together, maybe over a decade ago, they told me, that venture would be my most valuable asset. And I remember I laughed in their face. I was like, ha ha. And man, he was actually right though.
Really? Which venture is it, or is that confidential?
I'm gonna keep that one confidential just to keep everybody inspired. You got to keep your partners inspired.
Yeah. You want them to compete. You want them to think that they're not the number one, so they go, "Oh man, who's on us right now?"
Yeah, let's turn up this business. Let's elevate this business model. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, you want the cognac guys thinking like, "Uh-oh, it's probably not us," and you want the wings guys thinking, "Uh-oh, we better step it up."
Exactly. But at the end of the day, I just want to make sure everybody's winning. So I keep everybody involved, and I enjoy what I do, so it's always a good thing.
Your dad actually was a computer programmer in, was it the 70s and 80s?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cutting edge, man. I mean, there were not that many computer programmers back then, and I'm betting you could count on your hands the ones that were not just like nerdy white dudes.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. I just remember when I was young, he had a Commodore 64, and the printer used to just print the paper down to the floor, and they used to stack up this high off the floor.
Yeah. And it made that loud ass noise.
Yeah, I'll never forget those noises.
I think it's all burned into our brain because your mom or your dad's printing something off. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning and you're sleeping. You're like, what the hell is that noise? It's like, dial-up modem sound.
8 a.m. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you grew up more or less middle class, which a lot of people are going to go, well, wait a minute. I read or I heard that he sold crack or sold drugs. Like, why grow up middle class and then turn around and sell crack? A lot of people are probably going to question that decision.
Well, that's cool. They could question what they want to question, but just to be all the way accurate, when we moved out of the apartments for the first time, the first house that we moved into was in front of one of the biggest crack projects in Carroll City, in the middle of Miami. And we was happy I'm sure my mom and dad was proud to have a home, happy to have a home. But exactly behind it, it wasn't a one home in between it. It wasn't nothing in between it. So in the middle of the night, those people that was I heard women banging at our front door asking for help for whatever reasons. Did you just everything that went on in Miami? When you talk about Miami, it was a different situation. When you talk about the projects in Miami and where I grew up at, it was a different situation. So I seen what I seen, and it was what it was.
Yeah, it doesn't sound that appealing though. Like, right, you're describing it, women banging on the door in the middle of the night asking for help.
Oh yeah,
A
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah, without
people,
a doubt.
yeah, like a lot of people wouldn't be like, "Oh, I want to get in that business. I want to get in the business of having crazy women screaming at 4 o'clock in the morning and waking me up, being like, call the police," right?
Right, right. That's pretty much they was getting attacked, brutalized, maybe by a pimp, maybe by somebody they may have snatched $10 worth of crack from, whatever it was. But I was taught at a very young age to never open the door for nothing. So, I understood that. But that's where I grew up in Miami.
So was it the money then that was appealing at that point,
Well,
at
it
that
was
age?
more, yeah, by the time that my mom and dad separated, my mom was working two jobs every day and a third one on Wednesday. It was really just in, two houses in between us. My buddy, his dad had a Mercedes SL 500, Mercedes Benz, and mine had a Buick. It was a big difference sometimes. And so you just wanted to know what was going on, what was the difference. Well, I just had a certain passion uh, for wanting some of the finer things. And I was gonna find a way either way. And it took me a long time, but we made it.
How old were you when you first started to be like, wait a minute, I don't want to work like three jobs like my mom. I can make money. I can make the same amount of money before 10 a.m. selling drugs.
Well,
How long? Like, what age were you?
I got my first tattoo, which was a dollar sign at 13. So getting money was already on my mind at 13.
So that's early for that kind of ambition. So clearly you're ambitious, but also you're lucky. I assume you agree. You're lucky you're not dead because of that same ambition, right?
You're right, right, right. And I speak on that in my book. I don't fear death. I've had attempts on my life, and it's nothing to be proud of. But it's certain things that come with the game that I played. You know, and I don't fear death. We're gonna keep growing. We're gonna keep getting bigger. I'm gonna keep sharing the experiences and the wisdom in the books, and that's just what I did. And I'm excited to see the response from my new book.
Yeah, I think I liked it a lot actually because of course I read a lot of books for this show, and I read a lot of books by scientists, but also I read a lot of books by celebrities and artists, and a lot of the books that are by celebrities and artists, well, books in general, a lot of them are full of fluff that doesn't make any sense, and a lot of it is self-aggrandizing bullshit, as you might imagine. But the newest book is like, here are some ways that I run my business, and it's clear that this is actually true, and it makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's not like put yourself out there and believe in yourself. It's like treat everybody fair, put people on so that they can develop their own infrastructure and network. Like it's real advice.
Hey, you a funny motherfucker, man. But we most definitely just sharing the experiences, whether they were the best or maybe not the best. Either way, we all know life can be a beautiful struggle, man. And let's just enjoy this shit. Make the most out of it. Yeah. And I'm getting straight to the point. I want to win and win big. Not only just win, but win big.
So you have the same ambition that you had when you were younger. Obviously, you have adult ambition now. You're not just like selling drugs out of the back porch or whatever. It's a completely different and more ambitious game.
Without a doubt.
You mentioned at age 14 you were over 200 pounds, which like most 14-year-olds are probably under 100 pounds. So you're like twice the size of the average probably kid. I didn't look at the growth chart, but that's a big kid. I'm not even 200 pounds now, and I'm 40, right? So you're a big teenager, and your dad moved away when you were in high school, and you said that he never came down to your football games. So I assume you had a distant relationship,
Right.
or you were distant
We
from
did.
him.
Yeah, we did. And I never got to play optimist because I was too big. So it was just certain things. So by the time I got to high school, just my ambition, it was another level. So I actually was an all-city football player. And nobody but my mom ever came to my football games. Nobody else in my family.
Do you I know your father has since passed, but do you ever think like, man, I should have made a move to reconcile it? Do you regret that at all?
Nah, cause I
No.
never, nah, not at all, because I never had any hate. There was any hate. I still love my father, regardless of what he was going through or what was going on. I still loved him, and my love is still genuine for him. I'm gonna celebrate his, which would have been his birthday, his maybe his 85th birthday, at the end of this month. So I'm gonna still celebrate it, as if he was, here with me. So no, I understand. Of course, I wish he would have been there. Of course, I wish I would have had some more time, some experiences, some wisdom, but I didn't. And so now we got to make the best of it. We got to boss up.
What do you think he would think of your lifestyle slash success now? I mean, obviously it's larger than life, right? So you kind of can assume he would be pretty impressed and proud of you.
I'm sure he would be impressed, but the words he would use, because he was such a humble person, I'm not sure. I would love to hear the way he would describe my situation, because he not one of those people. Yeah, man, is it? Nah, he ain't like that. He never was like that. He the type you look around. Oh, how many square feet is this home? 55,000. That's the type of person.
Right, a quiet appreciation.
Right, right, right.
Is your home really 55,000 square feet? Because that's
It
like
really is.
there's like Amazon warehouses that are smaller than that.
Right, right. It really is. When I first purchased it, it was 55,000 square feet on 280 acres. And I've since then added another 89 acres.
Oh wow, so you're buying the land outside the place. What's
Right.
on the land?
Oh man, it's just value. I have a vision.
Hmm.
And sometimes I roll the dice and I hit some lucky numbers. So let's keep
Yeah.
going.
I mean, you've seen the way all cities expand, right? So if the city starts to expand towards your house, you can be like, "Oh, I'll sell you the land, but I'm going to sell it to you for 10 times what I bought it for." Because and right now there's some trees on it or some grass. Like you can sell it to developers when you're 60 years old, and it could be worth tens of millions or more.
Right. I've actually had two offers for the same land. I may have bought the land maybe not even a year ago, and I've already been made up two different offers where I could have profited $1 million.
Yeah, well, if you don't need the money now, which you don't, you can you just know you're sitting. It's like Bitcoin, man. Just hold it.
Just hold it. Just hold it. Just hold it. That's all I'm thinking about. Let's just hold
You bought the house in foreclosure from Vander Holyfield's estate or the bank that owned it anyway,
it. Correct.
right?
Correct.
So that's got to be a little bit of a warning shot, right? Like you look at that and you go, "Oh wait, he was doing really well and he was really wealthy. All right, I'm buying this now. How do I not end up like that? How do I not be a statistic to guys who lose their house to the next guy?"
I'm still hands on. He spent 25 million building a home. Then from my understanding, he took a 10 million loan out on it, and which went into default, which I ultimately purchased for 5.9. And you've heard different things. He has 17 employees working, just maintaining the landscaping. And myself, I went and bought a John Deere tractor, and two or three of my buddies. We get out there. I cut the majority of it. My buddies, they handle the weeds, this, that, but we do it all ourselves. So it's most definitely a big difference in the way we dealing with things over here.
There's an element of humor, but also it really does illustrate your work ethic to know that you are cutting your own lawn in your own tractor with air conditioning, I assume,
Right,
because it's
right,
hot
right.
as hell.
Most definitely, I tinted the windows, the air conditioning, the audio system is phenomenal.
But like you're cutting your own grass, and a lot of people are going to be like, "Wait, what? This dude who's got tens of millions or hundreds of millions or headed up to the Three Comma Club is sitting in a tractor on a Saturday afternoon, cutting his own lawn, right, and listening to music."
Right. And man, a lot of times I don't have any music on, and I'm just man, really, uh, zoned out, just looking at just embracing, the land, man, nature, the peace and quiet, no telephones. I'm looking at all the birds flying around me, the butterflies, the deers. It's a beautiful situation. It's a lot to appreciate. And that's what I do. I sit back and take my time out and appreciate the position I'm in.
I think that's important. I mean, it's cheesy to think like, oh, we got to always have gratitude for everything. Like a lot of people recommend that, but it's funny to see that that's your practice, right? So the tractor and cutting your lawn is like an investment in your own sanity, in like gratitude and appreciating what you have. And I think that probably keeps you grounded and sane at some level.
Most definitely. Growing up being a youngster that was at 13, also washing cars, also, the family that had the lawn service around the corner would cut grass. And I still do that. I still love to get out there. I still love to, I think that falls back on me remaining hands-on. I love being hands-on.
In the book, you say, look, nobody cares about your excuses. I'm a boss because I don't have to worry about circumstances, but I go for it no matter what. And you bring up an important point. You said the moment you're waiting on doesn't exist. Everyone has problems. Some people use them as excuses. Other people use them as opportunities. It's your reaction to those problems that matters. How did you learn that? Because
that's one of the things my father taught me as a youngster. I never complained because complaining gets you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Never complain. And that's one of the things that stick out to me. And so when someone's around me and I begin to hear complaints, I would begin to watch that person. And ultimately the things that come along with a person that complains a lot is usually not the best. And so when I've committed the last 20 years for me to get at this position and sit at the table, if you come and you sit at the table and the first thing you're telling me about is your ingrown toenail or your great aunt that just died and your neck is hurting, I may not want you at this table. Everybody had a lot of people that's died and everybody's felt pain, and that's what comes with being number one. But we want to win. Myself and everybody else that's sitting at this table, I owe them for whoever to sit right here to make sure we win. We don't want to hear no complaints.
Embracing the process, you say you don't want it to be easy, right? The process is what makes you able to enjoy and manage success. And the example I thought of is like that without the process, you're like that lottery winner who's like, oh, I have $10 million now. And then in 2, 3, 5 years, they're
in 1
broke,
year.
But
one
year, yeah.
Yeah, they're dead broke and owe the IRS.
Yeah, and like they don't have any friends left because everybody asked them for money and they mishandled all of that, right? So the idea that you don't want it to be easy is interesting because I feel like people who face that resistance head on all the time and are expecting it to be hard, then when you do face challenges, it's just like, all right, well, this is part of the game, and it doesn't beat you down, right? It doesn't get to you.
No, it doesn't beat you down. And when I look back when I'm in the position I am now, when I look back 15 years ago when I was sleeping at rest spots, when a lot of times I didn't know how I was going to make it to the next city, the next show, or whatever the position was, it was actually a beautiful situation. Man, if I could only been confident to know, hey man, one day you're going to be great, man. But when I look back at the situation and the people I got to meet and looking at that crowd that saw me for the first time in the physical, how their eyes would be this big and they wouldn't blink for 3 minutes, man. A lot of times that was the audience. That's the high that I'm chasing now when I'm running out on stage. But you didn't know that. You didn't know right now your audience and those diehard first 1,500 people that log on soon as you go live every morning, that those people that, man, a lot of times you don't know that. Yeah.
That's fascinating because it's almost like it's like the idea of the struggle is what makes it. What's the analogy here? It's like forged in fire, right? Like you can't really appreciate being on the top if you didn't have to go through the struggle, and which totally makes sense, right? We all know like trust fund kids whose dads left them like $20 million and they're just useless, right? They can't like you said, they get an ingrown toenail and they're like, I can't work today, right? They just can't do anything for themselves because they've never had that resistance.
Yeah, they've never had to figure out one thing by themselves. And that's what I had to do as a youngster. I had to figure out certain things by myself, whether if we gonna wash cars today, if we gonna hustle today, if we cutting grass today, or if we gonna help Mr. Thomas down the street pour tar on his roof, and the tar damn near 200 degrees. And if it hits your foot, it'll take your whole leg off. But guess what? If he gave us $20, a lot of times we'll jump up on the roof and we learn certain things. So my drive is on a whole nother level, and I appreciate it. And I still wake up 15 years later and look forward to doing interviews. I'm actually excited. I actually want to wear one of my nice sweaters.
But I appreciate that. You don't show up like, what is this again? Who are you? What's happening right now?
Nah,
Oh, I'm hungover. I can't do it.
I'm still excited. We still driving. We still got history to make. And to me, if it was about a dollar figure, we would have quit a long time ago. But I think it's more about let's make history.
You got a 7-figure advance for, was it one of your first albums or one of your biggest albums?
Yeah, my very first album with Def Jam.
And you just pretended like it didn't exist for 6 months and just kept hustling, which I think is really good advice for any windfall, promotion, accolade, award, whatever. You just got to pretend like it doesn't exist, because it's real easy to have a 7-figure advance make you be like, oh, I'm amazing. I can't fail now. It's over. And then when you're really at the beginning, you think you're at the top of the mountain, but really you're just at the start of the trail.
Yeah, it's so easy for you to be washed up, through, done. You one lawsuit away from a 1-1. So I closed my deal with L.A. Reid, Jay-Z, Shakir Stewart, Def Jam, 7-figure advance. Actually, for the first 1 year, I didn't spend anything. I didn't buy a car. You know, I had already had a BMW. The things I had already owned, I had. But as far as me finally getting a record deal after 15 years of taking losses and whatever else you want to call them, I didn't go and get anything. I didn't add anything to the car fleet or anything else like that. I just grind. I didn't stop. I didn't turn down anything. Man, let's go. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. And, you know, that was just my mentality, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are. You do in the book also talk about the dangers of hustling backwards, which I think is a great phrase, right? Becoming so enthralled with the trappings of success that you end up focusing on image instead of legit goals, which, like, you didn't say it, but we can tell what you meant, which is like Instagram culture, right? It's like, oh, I'm on a private plane, but I'm really in a photography studio in LA that's just a fake plane. And I go there and I pretend I'm on a plane, and it's like you're fake. It's fake it till you make it, but instead of making it, you just focus on fake it and you never actually do anything. You never make it.
Right. That's, you know, or even worse, you actually be on a private plane, but you change outfits 5 times over that one flight so you could post different photos over the next year. You know, and it's fucked up and it's sad, man. And I understand, because I'm a person that believes in speaking things into existence, manifesting certain things, but I have no problem with flying Delta. I still fly Delta. My favorite seat is 2D. Give me hey, I want to lean on the wall, man. I'm right there. Give me my cheese, give me my cheese box, man.
What if somebody's in seat 2D? Do you go like, hey, man, can we switch seats?
All the time. All the time. Hopefully they don't mind the aisle. If I'm in the bulkhead, I'm gonna at least try. I'm gonna try.
The hustling backward or avoiding hustling backwards, it must kind of be tough in the rap game, because isn't image just such a huge part of it? I mean, we all know, like, we see it, all the videos, they kind of have that image as like right in the forefront. And I know it's marketing, but how do you balance the marketing and the self-promotion with being an actual creator that's focused on the product as well?
Well, for myself, I came in with every damn hustle. And that's what really represented my goals and my ambition. This is what I'm here for, every damn hustle. I want to make history. I want to do something that's never been done for my city. I want to be the biggest artist that's not just from my city, not just from the South, in the game. And I'm going to do that different ways. So if I currently have 20 partnerships, in the next year, I'm sure to be 50. I'm sure, easily, 50. If I own over 100 cars now, I'm sure in the next year to be 200. Jay Leno invited me out for this season. Man, we had a great time. We talk. We man, I got a lot of game from Jay Leno. Jay Leno, one of the only few people that could actually school Rose when it comes to automobiles. And so, but I'm just letting you know that's the drive we at. That's how we moving, and we making good moves. We making good moves.
You say that success is based on what you do when no one is looking and you build one brick at a time. That is probably one of the most important and one of the most overlooked bits of advice that I think a lot of people who are trying to make it think of. Like, they're really doing everything in front of the camera, and when the camera's off, there's a lot of like, well, I'm done now because I posted, or I'm done now because the video's out. I'm done now.
Well, you'll be washed. There's only so long before you'll be back at the car wash or cutting grass at one of my lawn services if I ever decide to start one. You'll most definitely be because everything that matters is you have to take advantage of your time. Time is the most valuable asset you will ever have control of. So you have to take advantage of it right now. And when you don't, hey, just know it's a person like me that's trying to do 5 things at once. For every one thing you're doing, I'm trying to do 5. And just understand and accept whatever position or whatever, what comes with that. Because this what we look forward to. We're not shy. This is just one room in the promised land. And this is what we look forward to. And we want to keep going. And it's a lot of shit being done out here. It's a lot of accomplishments to be achieved. And we really want to be a part of it. And if that's not what you want, go somewhere else.
For as far as your time, you've got this calendar audit exercise in the book, which I think is brilliant. It's something that I recommend people do in one form or another all the time. And essentially break down all your time, especially time spent flexing on Instagram or whatever, and like truthfully evaluate how much time is being spent going towards your goals and where the rest of the time is going. How do you decide which habits or activities or people that you need to cut out? Because not everything is going to be aimed towards your goals. Like, sometimes you just have friends, but I assume you've got a rule of thumb for this kind of thing.
Right. Sometimes you just need to take notes of what's really going on. Okay, it's Monday to this Friday. This is what I want to do for 5 days. I'm going to take notes of everything I got going on. Basically, my business partners, what the conversation, let's just take notes. At the end of the day, look at what you did today. What did we do? What needs to be removed? What do I need to spend and focus more time on? You would be surprised at the bullshit that you got coexisting around you. The people that's calling you, the conversations that's going on, man, that shit is frivolous. Let's X that out and focus on what brings value to the table. Because 3 years from now, it's only certain things that's going to matter. The fluff, as you call it, I'm going to start using that. The fluff, that bullshit, we won't even remember that. The people that never really brought value to our lives, we won't even remember their names. So let's move 3 years ahead now and cut the bullshit out now. Let's move like we already advanced, and that's what we finna do. If I know I want to, hey man, in the next 5 years, I may want to start playing golf. You know what? I'm not going to wait 5 years. We're going to start this year. Let's start working on the putt.
You could do it inside that room you're in right now.
I know.
You could drive a golf ball in there.
I know. That's a great idea.
Maybe take down the chandelier, just because that's a disaster waiting to happen if you're going to be driving balls in the house.
No. I love the chandeliers. I may just have to get the 3 rows. The ones that hang down with the tri-levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got these a few years ago when we first was doing the first warm-up decoration, but it's time to go to another level, I think.
Yeah, you can definitely move those out of the driving range. I would say that's could be a little bit dangerous. But you're right. You do need to change how you invest your time in order for your results to change. And that's like the main takeaway from that, right? Like, a lot of people will just complain about something, or they'll say, yeah, I got to do this. But if you just take inventory of your time, you realize, wow, I'm actually wasting like 2 hours a day in meetings, listening to people complain, whatever, solving dumb problems that shouldn't have happened.
Oh man. And you get better and better, and then you'll be surprised in 3 months how your life has changed. You'll be surprised.
Ambition is the most important ingredient to success, which makes sense. Or at least that's what you say in the book, right? And I wonder if you found this. It's really easy to assume that other people have the same level of ambition as you do, but statistically, that's just not going to be true, right?
No, they don't. They don't. It takes a certain level of ambition. It takes a certain amount of ambition. And the more ambition you have, the more things you can overcome. There's actually people that want to be on radio. They actually want to be in the position you're in, but a lot of times they're shy. That'll be the word they use, or nah, but you may be shy too, but your level of ambition, fuck the shyness. This what we're gonna do. I don't give a damn if we finna take a L. I don't give a damn. We gonna do it anyway. And then guess what? We gonna try our hardest, and we gonna bring something great to the table. And we confident we gonna bring something great to the table. And that level of ambition is priceless.
I've done this with business partners. I'm sure you have too, where you think like, okay, I'm working 18 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week, whatever it is. And you think like, all right, they're going to be up at Friday, 1 a.m. working, but they've been drinking since 2 p.m. the day before. They're putting more effort into their alcohol tolerance than they are into their business. And it's a lesson that a lot of people have to learn the hard way. Because like you grew up working hard. I grew up working hard. Most people actually do not.
And guess what? If that's the situation, once we sit down at the table, they going to understand why their value isn't as high as mine or yours. That's one thing that we're going to make it clear. Whatever you bring to the table is what you will be appraised on. And you will be appraised. And not just, let's do this on a daily basis. What are you bringing to the table on a daily basis? Are you going above and beyond? Or are you that same person you've been for the last 3 years, just doing what's on black and white paper that's requested on you? If you are, to me, you're a loser. We want to go above and beyond. I want to go and do something else. I want to suggest another guest for you without you having to ask me. That's what we have to do for us to make it where we trying to go. And for the ones that don't understand, accept, or appreciate that, just accept, the position you're in, and you'll stay in as we continue to climb.
You say you hire people for jobs that they can grow out of, not jobs they can grow into. Tell me about that.
Well, you just have to be a person that wants to elevate yourself. And that's me touching on the same thing once again. Are you going to be one of those people that's just a predictable colleague, a predictable peer, a predictable employee? Are you going to do the same thing you've been doing for the last 6 months? That's not cool. That's not the shit. That ain't what you want to be. Be one of those people that, hey, man, I don't know if you guys are like this, but I wrote this down. Pass this shit around. That's what I want to see. What is this? Even if it's 20 things that you suggested and I only like 2, guess what? You just increased your value with Ricky Rose. You know what? I may ask you to slide over. That person that's sitting in between me and you, move them. You sit next to me now. Just those 2 things on that paper. Don't be predictable. You got to be able to climb out. Don't grow into. You got to be able to go to another level. I don't want to have to do you a favor because I'm not going to do you a favor and give you the position. That's growing into it.
This makes sense, right? So no free meal ticket, but you will put your people on so that they can develop. And like you said, I love the idea of climbing out, right? It's like, all right, you're in this position and you're not
going to... What are you going to do next? You're in this position. What are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? You're in this position now. What are you going to do next? Okay, you're in this position. Once you've mastered this position, what are you going to do next? Are you going to remain the same person? Because if you are, you're boring me. And guess what? That's not exciting. And what's exciting is us going to the next level. And that's what I'm most definitely going to be doing. When you look around here, everything on the table, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
You said something that I've really have heard a lot over the years that I enjoy, which is how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So it's like always go the extra mile. And you said when you were washing cars, you would arrange people's CDs and tapes in alphabetical order. Not part of the job. You're just supposed to wash the car, but it ends up being this extra 10% or extra 20% that you go in every single bit that you do. And sometimes you get tips and sometimes people don't even notice, but it's not for them, right? It's for you.
And that's what I do. That's what I've done. And I saw that's the quickest way to grow out of the position. I saw, okay, when you're a youngster, you're 13 years old at the car wash, when you see the big drug dealers pull up in a Chevrolet that they invested $150K in, they not just letting anybody wash the car. They want the consistency. They want that same person. But guess what? I always told myself the day they give me that opportunity, because I'm walking up to them, I'm making eye contact, and I'm letting them know I take care of you, I got you. And the day they gave me that opportunity, not only would I wash their car, wipe it down, not only I would organize the cassettes, the CDs, and if I had the pocket change, if their gas tank was empty, I would fill up their gas tank. Because when they came back, hey, you ain't got to waste that extra 5 minutes for that. I did that for you. Big homie, it was $40. That's all I had.
That's an interest. I love this perspective, right? Because most people will be a little bit more transactional, right? They'll do what they get paid for, but you say, hey, if you do more than what you get paid for, you'll eventually be paid for more than what you do, which is simple, but also like kind of brilliantly simple.
Right. And so let's say, for instance, I'm a partner with Luke Belair, CEO Brett Barish, great guy. Not just a business partner of mine, a friend of mine. This is Brett Barish cognac. But guess what? It's sitting here with me because Brett Barish is a friend of mine, and not only that, I go above and beyond what I'm ever requested to do. And I'm doing this because this is a friend or a partner of mine. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my approach since I was a youngster. And so that's why I was always embraced by the realists in the street of Miami. And you don't get embraced if the shit ain't real. You can't move the way I move. You can't have 100 cars and come from Miami if the shit ain't real. The streets won't allow it. And the police can't save you. They can't save you. You could call them all the hell you want to, boy. Not where I'm from. That can't save you. Only thing gonna save you is when this shit is real.
For people who don't know, Brett Barish is the CEO of Sovereign Brands, right? Am I getting that right?
Correct.
He kind of looks like the cross between the Dos Equis most interesting man in the world and some kind of Indian spiritual guru.
Moses, that's what I call him sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, that's who created Ace of Spades. That's who created Duce. He's a great guy. It's not about a coin. I could have easily been drinking cognac just with a champagne bottle sitting here. But that's not what I chose to do. That's not how I choose to move.
One thing that I think you do really well is that, well, one thing in particular that I think you do really well is your people are all really diversified, right? So if anything, and you mentioned this in the book, if anything ever happened to your business, people around you can help you back if needed, right? So you're not like the bottom of this infrastructure where if you as the peg get knocked down for some reason, everybody else falls. You've got people who run car dealerships, beverage brands. You've got all kinds of different Wingstop, right? You got fast food joints. And these are all run independently by people that you trust. So if anything happens to any other element in your business, it's like the internet. If one node goes down, the rest of the nodes just take over. And it's like nobody even has to notice that there's a problem. So you can get to fixing it.
Right. It's kind of like the pandemic. During the pandemic, artists live off performances, show money, et cetera, et cetera. It's not many artists I saw that continued to move the way I moved during the pandemic. And I'm just being straight up. That's what I talk about as far as being a boss. I still bought old school classics 2 or 3 every month, like I always did. And it shouldn't change because I'm not living off the just show money, the this, to that. Nah, we've been talking about every damn hustling, and we meant that. When I said it, I meant it, and that's what we've been doing. And so during the pandemic, we bought more franchises. Shit, business went on, and a lot of artists can't say that.
You said old school classics. Are you talking about cars?
Correct. Old school
Okay.
classics, Bel Airs, Fords, this and that. This when I bought my John Deere tractors. Just everything I felt I kept moving on as if, it wasn't a pandemic.
Right, because you had the support to do that. Not because you ignored the problem, but because the problem wasn't actually a systemic issue, right? It wasn't a critical issue for
Right.
your businesses.
Right. Not at all.
And so your people, their resources, they don't come and ask you for a handout. They're actually support for you and for each other later on. So it's like a web instead of I don't know, I'm missing the analogy here, but it's like a web.
What I wanted to do was when I created and began purchasing more franchises, I began in Florida, then I went straight to the home base of my family so they would have job opportunities. I went straight to Memphis and I purchased 5. Then it went to maybe 6 or 7. But I wanted my family members to have these opportunities because it's not about coming to me asking me for money, but you gotta be ready to feed yourself. And here's the opportunities. You could start sweeping at the register. You may work up to management. You may want to buy one. You may want to buy one yourself. And if you earn that respect, I'll be a partner with you. So, that's what it's about with me. So my sister, she's a millionaire. She's a self-made millionaire. She has car lots and this and that and this and that and this and that. And, my mother, she's just the matriarch of the family that just oversees everything. So I don't have anybody can you transfer this into my account for this? And nah, that ain't how we rocking over here. We all bosses.
It sounds like your mom is the only person who's still allowed to yell at you.
And guess what? She doesn't even yell.
She doesn't need to, right?
And she could. She the only one that's ever yelled at me my entire life. But our communication is special.
Something that I didn't expect to see in the book, because it's not the usual advice you're going to hear from like a rapper, music mogul, not going to lie, is you recommend saving and investing, and you say financial freedom is the best stress reliever. That is not the usual kind of advice you see from any artist anywhere.
I mean, if you want to talk to a real CEO, a real mogul, that's the advice you're going to receive. As an artist, we understand music goes hand in hand with partying. So you will party, but you got to find a way to create businesses around the parties. You have to way to, just elevate your value in so many different ways and take advantage of that. And that's the advice, I'm giving them. And I'm giving it to them, it's all factual. So when I talk about me being a boss and I talk about my residency I just closed with Dreas, the #1 club, and I talk about the G Shiba cryptocurrency, and I could just go down the list, and that's what you have to talk about. And when are you going to talk about it? Your first 2 or 3 years as an artist, or will you wait till you have no value at radio, or will you wait till you have no real excitement around your brand? When will you do it? That's your decision to make. But as Ricky Rose would say, let's come out the gate strong. Let's come out the gate strong. Work your way into it. Let's not wait until you have a #1 record to just think about creating merch. Let's begin creating merch now. You may do smaller numbers, but let's have the system in place so when you do have success at the radio. Hey man, I got my own merch. You could come out and purchase that as well. And woo, 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 woo.
You've actually you've done so much, right? But you've also had some serious scares, right? You had a seizure at age, was it 35?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Was
Without a
that the
doubt.
first one?
Right. That was the first seizure I had. I remember I had it. I was actually on a flight, and my buddy was like, let's get off the plane. We had a seizure. And I looked at him, boy, sit down somewhere. I looked like I had a seizure. I'm straight because I had no side effects. I felt no pain, no nothing. So I actually thought, he was tripping. But I got off the plane and I called my private jet connect 30 minutes later. After getting off the plane, I was on a private jet. And once I fell asleep on the jet, I had another seizure. And at that point, that's where we made an emergency landing in Alabama. I woke up, I want to say maybe a day or two later, and that's when me suffering from seizures was a reality. And that's when I had to go see a real doctor and explain my lifestyle, the way I slept. And that's when they explained my issues. And, at that time I was sipping syrup and I was sipping Tussinex and other things that, I felt helped me stay awake to do the things I love most, which was make music. So I would be sipping out of these styrofoam cups, something that I felt taste so delicious. And I could stay in the studio for 20 hours at a time and create music that I felt would change the world. And, you know, um, I stopped getting any rest. I stopped going to sleep. And, that's what my doctors explained to me that my body um, could no longer take.
Wow. So the seizures were, it's not something genetic, it's from lifestyle, food, tussin, stuff like that.
It's from Tussinex and just refusing to go to sleep. And after they studied, the way I went to sleep, even after, um, the first 6 months of seeing a doctor, and even I couldn't sleep more than 3 or 4 hours. So I still wake up at 6 a.m. now, but it's a good thing because I could sleep 5 and 6 hours now, which was something I thought I could never do again. Because as soon as I lay down, it's so much stuff I feel I could be doing. It's something I could be accomplishing. It's work that could be done. And so just for everybody that's out there and you sleeping your full 8 and 10 hours, it was somebody like me that wanted your job and wanted to take and strip you of your success. I wanted to take your paycheck. I wanted to take everything because, my desire for winning, once you come from the mud, you really want to make it to the marble. And that's what the position I was in.
So how does that change how you live your life now? Because obviously, like, you've got kids, you've got a lot of businesses. You can't be having seizures on flights and then being like, "Nah, I'm fine." Right? You could die now, right? Like, now when you have kids, you realize, like, "Oh crap, I should probably stay alive."
Oh, most definitely. And that's why, that's one of my biggest inspirations is, me going hard and making sure they won't, have to see a lot of the things that I've seen, you know, enjoy your life, you know. And so I no longer, mess with the Tussinex or the lean or, stuff like that. You know, I no longer do that.
Can you tell people who don't know what that is? Because a lot of people never heard of the lean or Tussin X.
Well, lean, that's another name for codeine. Something that I used to pour into a Fanta cup. I had styrofoam cup. I would pour a few ounces of codeine, mix it with soda, and it was something that I thought tastes so delicious. And I would just listen to music, and it relaxed me in such a space where I could work on music for 15 hours at a time. And during that time, I created some of the most beautiful records. You know what I mean? But the toll it takes on your body, not resting, not sleeping, it's going to be a valuable one price that you will pay.
So how do you get around that now? Like, you can't do it now, but you can also, you're not just going to stop working. So what do you
No, no.
do instead of that?
Well, that was the bad side to how I was living. So now I just relax. I sip my champagne, I sip my Luc Ballet, I smoke my cannabis. Of course, we got our own strand, Collins Ave, partnered up with Cookies. And most importantly, I rest now. Believe it or not, I never took naps in my life, and now I could take an hour or two nap during the day. And, that changed the whole game for me.
You've got a daughter, and you've got do you just have the one daughter? Is that, or you have other kids as
Yeah,
well?
yeah, yeah. I got several beautiful children.
Okay. So one of them is a daughter, at least, right? So I'm not wrong there. I know that hip hop is not always the most female friendly music genre in many ways. I wonder if having a kid has made you think about this a bit more.
Well, um, when I create music, I'm really thinking of where I've came from and where I'm going. You know, I have created a few records where, you know, I'm speaking on my family, my kids, so on and so forth. But, as a whole, whatever direction I'm going in, I'm gonna continue going in. You understand? And even when I sit down and I play records for my kids, I explain them, what I'm talking about, the approach, the meaning, the purpose, and what I ultimately want a listener to walk away with. And, majority of the time, they understand what it is and respect
There's a Breakfast Club clip, which I'm sure is not your favorite, where you say, "Oh," they say, "Hey, why didn't you sign more female artists?" I think it was Angela Yee who asked you that, right? And then you're like, "Oh, I'd sleep with them and I would mess up the business," and that did not go over so well outside of that studio. I wonder what you think of stuff like that, like looking back and being like, "Okay, I got kids now." Like, how do you explain that kind of thing to them when that
it. Well,
happens?
they know what I was ultimately referring to. Well, ultimately, what I was referring to was an independent label that I used to work with, and the artist was a female artist. I used to write her raps and herself and a big wig at the label, got into some things personally and it fucked up everything. All of the music that I had wrote for the last 2 or 3 years for her, the label situation that they had on the table, it all crumbled. It all crumbled. And I watched that happen. And so I was like, yo, that was so unfortunate. And so I've written records for a lot of females, and but that was what I was speaking of. You know what I'm saying? I've collaborated with a lot of females and I'm a fan with a lot of females and I've yet to sign one. But I feel like when the time right and she's a hard worker, that's most valuable to me because my business come before anything personal. I ain't even thinking of myself personally. So it's most definitely about the business. And, if the time and the right artists present themselves, you never know.
So you don't think that you'd really sleep with a female artist and mess up the business that you had with
No,
them?
no, no, no. I've been around the most beautiful artists there was, and I've never had any issues business wise. So, no, I actually was thinking back to before I got on. It was a personal in a big situation in Miami. Everybody on the local music scene know what I'm talking about, but it was just damn, man, that shit. And it's almost like this shit tore the whole vibe down. But me personally, um, nah, it was nothing. I was tripping.
A lot of people were wondering, hey, look, you got Freeway Rick Ross, who's like the sort of infamous drug dealer now out of prison. He's been on the show before as well, and he took it pretty hard that there was a rapper with his name. What's going on there? Because I know y'all were involved in a lawsuit before that later on ended.
Nah,
What happened there?
he just was um he came home and filed lawsuits. He was an informant, came home, filed lawsuits, going right back to the police. So I had no words for him. I had nothing to talk about at that point. You was the police in prison, you the police now. I had no words to talk about. And so I still have nothing to talk about.
But like a lot of people will go, well, wait, he took that guy's name. What's going on there? Is that not what happened?
What happened was it's most definitely we had the same name. I ain't tripping. I can't get a rat no more. You know, I didn't know much about him personally. I knew, you know, he's supposed to have been a hustler that was getting money on the West Coast. I'm from the South. You know what I'm saying? My name could have been Ricky Rose from the beginning, and I would have still been the biggest boss. It don't matter. Like I said, you know, when he came home, filed lawsuits before you even reached out, I said, damn, I can't respect him. You know what I'm saying? I can't respect him. And then during the lawsuits is when I got all the documentation of how many times he testified and how many people he testified against. So that killed any opportunities of us moving forward with anything. Is it anything personal with me and dude? Nah, I don't know him. Never met him. Don't care
So you
nothing
think
about him.
if he tried to reach out to you directly and be like, "Hey, man, I'm trying to rebuild my life coming out of prison. Like, you got the same name as me," you think that would have ended up? Maybe the situation would have turned out differently.
I don't know. You come home, rebuild your life. Go rebuild your life. I don't have nothing to do with your life. Go rebuild your life. Help those 30 people you testified on rebuild theirs too.
There's a lot that goes into like street cred in the streets and in the industry, and those things overlap a lot. And I know you kind of accidentally had a brush with that before too. I guess there was something about you had a correctional officer job for I don't even know how long, and people were like, "Oh, he's a cop or he's law enforcement, right? His rap persona is fake because he worked in this job." I'm wondering what you feel about that, because of course you speak about it a little bit in the book, where it's like, "Hey, man, I've had a lot of jobs." You know,
Yeah.
that
Like I
that might
said,
be.
where I'm from, you get broken in half if it ain't real. And it's obvious the position I'm in, my shoes never been stepped on. And if it wasn't so real, the homie would have came and hollered at me. Anybody. Ain't nobody stepping on my shoes because I don't even have nothing to explain, homie. It's that real.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I've so switching gears a little bit. I gotta hear this story about you going to Barack Obama's office, and there was a little bit of a disturbance because of the ankle monitor. Could you tell us this? Because this is a funny story, and it has to be kind of one of those like top 10 funniest or embarrassing maybe, but also funny moments of your life, right?
Right. I was invited to the White House, me along with the other few artists. And at the time, I was actually out on bond for some kidnapping charges, some allegations, me doing some things, this or that. So I had an ankle monitor on my ankle. And um, we was all sitting in the Oval Office.
So who
Myself,
was in there?
Barack,
Who was there at this point?
myself, maybe 15 or 20 other artists, myself, DJ Khaled, Chance the Rapper, Busta Rhymes, Ludacris, mm, you know, just to name a few.
Hmm.
And my ankle monitor actually went off in the middle of the conversation, and Secret Service went to moving around because before you went into the Oval Office, everyone had to give up any technology, any cell phones, anything. So no one had any technology on them. So once the beep, 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 beep started going off, the security guys went to, and if, you know, Barack Obama made a statement, and everybody at the table it was one of those things. And uh, I'm sure some nobody that was there will forget.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people are going, wait a minute, because of course when you go into the White House, period, they're probably searching you for weapons and all that stuff, and then before you go in the Oval Office, they're searching you, and I assume they saw that you had the ankle monitor, and they went, oh, okay, this is fine, but the guys maybe stationed inside didn't know about that, and then why was it beeping, like a low battery or something? Like, what's going on there?
Man, I don't know. You got to ask Fayetteville County Jail. But you know, the question I really got a lot of was how could a person with kidnapping charges and pistol whipping charges make it into the White House? But we did. You did, and we put those. I want to say I had 12 felony charges. We put those behind us. You know, in the same way, being accused of these type of allegations never made me, me having a job for a few months never made me. You dig?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a funny story because I just imagining Secret Service is panicking, everyone's looking around. Some people probably even know what it is, but they don't want to say anything. And then Obama's just sitting there like, well, thought we were going to blow up.
It was something familiar to that. I don't want to repeat it, but you know, it was most definitely when you hear the beep 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 and it's coming from under the table. Yeah.
Probably like, who let this guy in here with the next time change your batteries on your ankle monitor before you come in the Oval Office? There's a lot of people that want to get opportunities with you, right? They want to like, oh man, I want to work with you. I want to work with your label. I want to work with your companies. What do you suggest to people that want to get opportunities with you or somebody like you? You say take initiative, but what does this look like in practice?
Taking initiative in practice is really embracing everything that we already have going on. Embrace repping the brands, embrace repping the record label, embrace everything. We got 20 partnerships right now. You should already feel like a partner in all 20. That's if you really want to look or seem or feel exceptional to me. That's just like if you're going to hire someone in the future to work with what you got going on, it should already be on their Facebook 12 months prior. Mm-hmm. They should already know this is the way we work. This is the way we move. If you even have a consideration of wanting to become a brand ambassador or whatever, so on and so forth, you should begin now. Don't just wake up one morning and say, Rose, I want to be MMG. Well, guess what? I got a surprise. It's a fucking million people that just want to be MMG. It's artists that want to pay me to be on MMG. So what are you going to bring that's unique? Show me something that's different. And hopefully they could show me already 12 months of work you already been putting in, repping the team, repping the brand. Show me that the love is genuine. And that's something that I realized that wealthy people want. They don't just want to hire somebody that want the job because everybody wants the job, but they really want to find who really wants to be there. Mm-hmm. And if you could show an extremely wealthy person, look, man, I really wanted to be here. This is what I did 2 years ago. Look. Wow. Come on. It's green light. Because everybody wants the job. Everybody wants to sit next to the multimillionaire. Everybody wants to have lunch with the billionaire. But what have you done that was different?
It's like, if you want to work for me, show me that you already have been working for me. And I think that's one way you phrase it in the book as well. Like, don't come and ask me for the job. You're auditioning for the job well before we even talk.
It doesn't even matter what you're talking right now. Show me. Show me. Pull up your platform. Show me your social media. Show me what you've been doing. Show me you love this brand and you love this so much. This is so incredible and this is the opportunity you've been waiting for. It's bullshit if you can't show me.
You said you don't have to sacrifice your principles or be an immoral person to succeed. Being good to those you work with is a long-term play. If your idea of success only benefits you, you're not really that successful. Tell me about that.
Well, if it's only one person that's really winning, how successful are you? How big are you? Are you really the biggest boss? No. It should affect everyone that's coming to the table and bringing something to the table. It's simple. It's simple. And if you're the only one winning, hey, man, you may not really be winning, man. Or maybe you are, just in a different way. But the platforms I'm creating, we got 20 partnerships here. And I need everybody to be a part of every one of them because that's how all 20 benefit. Not just because you want to help these three or you want to help. Nah, we got to be a part of them all. You should post them all on your platforms. I shouldn't have to ask you. Because once we win and we're number one, you come to the dinners, don't you? You toast the champagne, don't you? Well, let's put the work in. The book's out. Did you post the book? Did you post one of your favorite chapters? Did you post well, do you deserve to really come to the New York Times best-selling party? Let's say those seats for the ones that's really genuinely showing love. Not the ones who just gonna wear the best suit or the best dress. And, hey man, I grew up with you. We played baseball. Fuck baseball. That was 20 years ago. Fuck that shit. It's about what's popping right now. Let's hit some home runs right now. And if we're not gonna do that, cool, man. I wish you the best. Go over there now.
It's interesting because you're practicing what you preach, right? Like you brought up the champagne and the beverage earlier, and you're like, oh, I'm doing this for my friend. I'm repping this for my friend. I have a business partner, and I'm promoting this for him. They're not asking you to do this, and so people see that, and they have to do the same thing for you. But it's like you're giving them the blueprint, and now you literally have a book about how to do it. So if people are going to ignore that, then you know they're not going to be a good fit for your organization.
Or you're just not fit for this top floor. And that's where we want to go. We want to make history. It's not about always having the most money, but we want to make history. And we want to enjoy it while we put in the hard work of making history.
Rick, thank you so much, man. Is there anything that you want to put in before we close? Because otherwise it's a wrap.
Hey, man, this is the best cognac in the world, Vion. Hey, man, I had a great time with you today. Anytime you need me, I'll be here for you. If you ever having a barbecue or something like that, hey, man, I'll be there, baby. I may also send us some thighs, you dig, from Thigh Stop, but I'll be there, big homie.